Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Here in just a bit, I am off to check out the movie Mad Heidi. So what is the plot of Mad Heidi? Well, first off, some of you may know Heidi as the Swiss miss who lives in the Alps. Others of you might know Heidi as the movie that interrupted a 1968 football game between the Jets and the Raiders. If you don't know the story, look it up. It's a long one. I ain't telling it here. Anywho, what is the story of this movie? Okay, well, so Heidi is just chilling in the Swiss Alps, and wouldn't you know it, Switzerland is taken over by a fascist regime that outlaws certain dairy products. And Heidi's boyfriend slash husband, they don't really go into it, is a dairy producer, and they slaughter him in the middle of the Times Square or Town Square or whatever, and Heidi witnesses the entire thing. She then vows to get revenge on the fascist regime and gathers a team of experts. Well, actually, I don't know. The trailer looks redunculous. This film looks like it is some serious, over-the-top violence, and, well, it is mocking exploitation, or I should say Swiss-sploitation, so you know it's going to be that dirty, Grindhouse, machete kind of feel to it. The trailer definitely gives me those vibes. As you can see, the smile on my face, I am really expecting a fun, over-the-top, good time. This movie kind of reminds me a little bit of the film I reviewed not too long ago, Sisu, but that movie definitely had a much more serious tone to it. It had a little levity, but mostly serious. This movie looks balls to the wall goofy as hell. They're leaning into the camp and definitely parodying exploitation style films. So guys, you know what? It is time for me to stop yammering and get out the door because I need to go see Mad Heidi. Let's just hope she doesn't interrupt any more football games, alright?
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate, go your own way, I won't wait.
Welcome back. Just getting home, and guys, this movie was fun. I mean, I had an absolute blast watching this movie. It was just campy, silly, cheesy, Grindhouse fun. Okay, let's get this started, shall we? We're going to do this like I like. We're going to start with the negatives, and we're going to end things with the positives, so the video can end on the ever so important high note. Okay, so the negative I have to say about this movie is, unfortunately, at least in my area, this was a one-night event. This movie was only in theaters for tonight, and then it's just, it's not there anymore. So, I don't know if that was the same in your area, but it was a great time being able to see this movie on the big screen with a lot of people around. So the big negative I have about this movie is that there's a good chance you might not be able to experience it the same way I did, and that kind of blows because, as I've said before, I love seeing movies for the first time in theaters. That is one of my favorite things. I enjoy seeing these movies, especially films like this with a large, well, it wasn't a large audience, it was a fan-size audience, let's put it that way. But we had a great time, lots of chuckles, it was a good time. Okay, so, positives. I keep saying good time because this movie was an absolute blast. As I was saying, this is kind of similar in the fashion of like a Grindhouse or an exploitation film, and let's just say that this movie is an absolute love letter to the genre. It is something like, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I've seen plenty of mock exploitation films, but I don't think I've ever seen a Swiss-sploitation film, so this was a first for me. Another thing about this movie that was really awesome is that this is a crowd-funded film. I think they said something around the vicinity of like $2.5 million or something was raised by crowdfunding to get this movie made. It is completely independent, no studio, no nothing, just two guys who had an idea and they did it. They made this movie happen and it is great. Okay, so the acting, it is cheesy. It's not the best, but that is what you would expect from a movie like this. So it really leans into the inexperience of some of its cast members. Now, that doesn't mean that the performances are god-awful. The first thing I want to talk about is our lead who played Heidi, and that is Alice Lucy. This is her first film, and she does a great job. I'm sure that the directors did a good job working with her and coaching her on how she should perform and all in the Grindhouse style film, and she does an excellent job. And not only her, but there is also Casper Van Dien is in this movie. He plays our villain, and you can tell that he knows exactly what this movie is and has a blast with it. He plays the dictator in the film, and it's just wacky goodness, and he does a really good job. He really knocks it out of the ballpark. In a movie such as this in the ultra-violence field, of course you're going to ask me, how were the special effects? Were they CGI or were they practical effects? Now, while there is a little bit of CGI in this film, most of the effects are all practical, especially the kills. And let me tell you guys, there is a lot of bloody messes in this movie. It really leans into the violence heavy in this film. So I guess a negative, if you're not somebody who can take a lot of blood and guts and things of that sort, and I do mean blood and guts, there's some pretty vicious kills in this film. If this is something you can't handle, you probably aren't going to like this movie. But okay, back onto the positives. This film is fun. I keep saying that because I just can't get over it. To quote my friends yet again over a 3B video, this film is popcorn as fuck. Now, this is the point that I normally say, get out there, support this movie, go see this movie in theaters, help the independent filmmakers, get this movie out there so that more movies like this can get made. But it's not in theaters anymore. However, I did some searching around and I did find that it's for rent or purchase digitally on Amazon Prime. And before the film started, they did have a a Blu-ray and a special edition Blu-ray that they are going to be releasing here soon. The studio that made the two people that made the film, there was some involvement with distributors and whatnot, because I mean, someone has to distribute the film. And so yes, there are Blu-rays that are coming out for this movie also. But as of right now, it is on Prime. So if you're a Prime, it's not free, but it might be here soon, to be perfectly honest. There's a thumbnail up for it, so maybe. But as of right now, you can rent it or buy it, and the prices isn't high, guys, and it is definitely worth just the price of admission right now. I mean, it's like, what, $2.99, $3.99 to rent a movie off Amazon? This film is great. You're gonna love it. It is just a blast. I can't stop smiling. I really can't. It was so much fun. It was just an absolute love letter to the genre, and the team, the cast, the crew did an excellent job making this film look very professional. If there was one style thing that I would have liked to have seen, and this is not necessarily a big deal, like in the film Machete, it really gave you an idea like you were watching a movie on film. I kind of would have liked to have seen that, but I do understand that there are limitations, that they did have a small budget, so maybe, doing something like that, giving it a look with their budget restraints and all, might have made it look a little garbagey, who knows. But it would have been nice to have it that, like a moment halfway through where they do the film with kind of melt thing or something. I don't know, maybe because I'm nostalgic. I miss the old days of film. What can I say? The ticking in the 35mm. It was a magical time for film, but I digress. Okay, guys, so if you want to check this movie out, you can find it right now on Amazon Prime for rent or purchase digitally. Keep your eyes open for the Blu-ray when it comes out. I don't have a date for you, unfortunately. I couldn't find that, but I do know it's coming someday. Okay, guys, well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching The Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna. support independent film.